So we are discussing the development of the diaphragm. So this is the original intraembryonic coelom. This intraembryonic coelom gets converted into body cavities. So we have two body cavities. One is pericardial body cavity. Pericardial body cavity is here and peritoneal body cavity is here. And it is connected to each other by pericardio-peritoneal canals. These pericardio-peritoneal canals, which I have drawn a little long, they are not so long, थोड़े से short होते हैं, maybe like this. So these pericardio-peritoneal canals, they are the ones, they form the pleural cavities. They are cut off from the pericardium, from the peritoneum by pleuroperitoneal membranes. Pleuroperitoneal membranes. So this is one of the factor which is contributing to the development of the diaphragm. When you see the development of the diaphragm, the major part of the diaphragm is formed by septum transversum. The peripheral part is from the body wall. Okay. Again, some part is from the mesentery of esophagus. And then here these two openings, the pleuroperitoneal canals, which are fused by pleuroperitoneal membranes, pericardio-peritoneal canals, which are fused by pleuroperitoneal membranes. So factor 1 contributing to development of diaphragm, septum transversum. 2, body wall. So this part will be supplied by phrenic. This will be supplied by the intercostal nerves, mesentery of the esophagus, and pleuroperitoneal membranes. Now here what you are seeing is these are the pericardio-peritoneal canals and these are the pleuroperitoneal membranes which are trying to cover it. This is septum transversum and this is esophagus and this is the mesentery of esophagus. Okay, so this is the esophageal mesentery. So now you see they have started, pleuroperitoneal canals, they are kind of getting covered by So these two membranes have now been formed and now here you can see they have completely cut off the pericardio-peritoneal canals. And this is septum transversum. This is the mesentery of the esophagus and this part is developing from the body wall. So 4 factors forming the diaphragm. 1, septum transversum. 2, body wall. 3, mesentery of esophagus and pleuroperitoneal membranes. Thank you. So during the development of the pancreas, this is the junction of the foregut and midgut. This is the ventral pancreatic bud. This is the dorsal pancreatic bud. After the rotation of gut, what happens is dorsal bud comes here and ventral bud comes below. This is the duct of the dorsal bud. This is the duct of the ventral bud. They get connected with each other. Now this forms the main pancreatic bud. This forms the accessory pancreatic bud. So this forms accessory, this is main. So the parts developing from the dorsal pancreatic bud are head, neck, body, tail. Now head, upper part. Then accessory pancreatic duct and distal part of main pancreatic duct, because main pancreatic duct ऐसे बनता है. Distal part of parts developing from the ventral bud, lower part of head, uncinate process, and proximal part of main pancreatic duct. Specimen there in the exam. Stomach initially developmentally is like this, then it turns like this. This is the anterior border. So this is the ventral bud. This is the dorsal bud. Okay. Now the stomach will turn like this. After that the ventral bud will come to lie below the dorsal bud. Now what is this? This is the hepatic bud which has developed, which has given a cystic duct and the liver on the right side it will be developing. So liver they have not shown. So ventral bud from which lower part of head uncinate process, dorsal bed, upper part of head, neck, body, tail, distal part of main duct, and accessory pancreatic duct from the ventral develops the proximal part of the main pancreatic duct. Thank you so much. So this is the developing gut, rather kind of junction between the foregut and midgut. These are the two veins, the vitelline veins from which the portal veins develop. It has two ventral anastomosis, upper and lower, and the middle one is the dorsal. So one ventral, third one is ventral, and the second one is dorsal. The portal vein will develop like this behind the first part of the duodenum. So from the second dorsal anastomosis like this, and from here this part and this part, they will form the right and the left branches of the portal vein. Okay, now this part will disappear. Okay, this part will disappear. So finally the portal vein is formed like this, which will go behind and then divide into right and left. Now we will have to study, we will have to consider this as the first ventral, this as the second dorsal, and third ventral they have not shown, या फिर किसी स्टूडेंट ने उसको तोड़ दिया है. So finally it develops from the second dorsal and then goes up, okay, and then divides into branches. So that's the development of the portal vein. This is how the primitive cloaca is. Okay, here is the pubic symphysis. This will be developed by a urorectal septum into two parts. Okay, the posterior part is the rectum and anterior part is primitive urogenital sinus. Here opens the mesonephric duct, which divides it into vesico-urethral canal, and now this becomes definitive urogenital sinus. Previously it was primitive urogenital sinus. Now divides into two parts. Okay, and now the rectum becomes separate by the urorectal septum. Now here opening like this is the paramesonephric duct. This paramesonephric duct comes in contact with the terminal part of the GIT from where the sinovaginal bulbs will develop. Okay, so this we will discuss later. Currently then we will focus on this specimen. Okay, so in this specimen what you are seeing is this septum has now divided the primitive cloaca into two parts, anterior primitive urogenital sinus and this is rectum. At the point of opening of the mesonephric duct, this is the opening of mesonephric duct. This point of opening of mesonephric duct now divides the primitive urogenital sinus into vesico-urethral canal from which the bladder will develop and definitive urogenital sinus from which the urethra will develop. Then this is the developing rectum and this is the mesonephric duct. Part of the specimen, to understand this you look it like this. So this is the actual neural tube. This is the neural tube. This is the notochord. These are the bodies of the vertebra. From the bodies of the vertebra, now the arches will grow and here the lamina will be formed and the spine will be formed here. You are getting it. So now the arches and lamina will form here and then the spine will be behind and this part will form the spinal cord. Okay, thank you. So now this specimen you can see the developing gut, the foregut, midgut and hindgut. So you can see the three main arteries, the celiac trunk, superior mesenteric artery and the inferior mesenteric artery. This superior mesenteric artery in development of the midgut, you know, it forms the axis around which the midgut loop, this is the midgut loop which will undergo 270-degree rotation. This part is called the prearterial segment from which the jejunum and ileum develop. This is the post-arterial segment in which terminal part of ileum, ascending colon and right two-third of transverse colon develop. So initially it is like this. So you can see here the artery is like this. pre-arterial segment like this, post-arterial segment like this. The first rotation takes place is 90-degree anti-clockwise. See, clockwise is like this, anti-clockwise is like this. So here in this model, you can see the first rotation happening. The first rotation, see, here you can see it is above. Now it is going towards the right. So the first rotation happens like this, where the pre-arterial segment comes to the right, post-arterial comes to the left. Now problem is that this pre-arterial segment is going to form jejunum ileum, which is to the left. This is going to form ascending colon, which is to the right. So therefore further 180-degree rotation takes place. So first 90 plus 180, so 270. So in that, what will happen is this will come on this side. Okay. So thank you. Intermediate mesoderm. Okay, this intermediate mesoderm ultimately thickens to form a nephrogenic cord, right? It will form a nephrogenic cord, and then this is the gut anteriorly. The nephrogenic cord is here, and inside the nephrogenic cord, there are four things. One is genital ridge. Okay, genital ridge. Then there is mesonephric duct. Then there is paramesonephric duct, and then there are tubules. And here is the gut. Okay, so in this specimen, now consider this. Okay, this is the gut, yolk sac. This is the nephrogenic cord. On the medial side will be genital ridge. Then portion will have mesonephric tubules with two tubes inside it. One is mesonephric duct and another is paramesonephric duct. This part here is the metanephros, which is going to actually form the kidneys. While mesonephric tubules, they will just form vasa efferentia in case, and others, most of them, and then they form this aberrant tubules in females or not. Their contribution is vasa efferentia in males. They don't form the kidney. Kidney is formed by the metanephros, which is seen here. There are two paramesonephric ducts. These two paramesonephric ducts unite. This united portion forms the uterus. The ununited portion forms the uterine tubes. Paramesonephric duct are also, here we saw that this is mesonephric duct and this is paramesonephric duct. In this specimen also we saw that mesonephric duct opening here into the definitive urogenital sinus, and this was the paramesonephric duct. Okay, so this contact point, we said that the uterus is formed by the union of the two paramesonephric duct. Now this contact point there is a point of contact between the uterus, the paramesonephric duct, and the urogenital sinus. So this is the endoderm. Okay, so the vagina, development of the vagina is partly from the mesoderm. The pink color is from the mesoderm, and the yellowish color is from the sinovaginal bulbs. Sinovaginal bulbs which are from the endoderm. So development of the vagina is from two layers. This part is from mesoderm, this form is from the endoderm. Okay, so here you see this point of contact from where the sinovaginal bulbs develop, and then you see the development of vagina. So development of uterus is exactly from the mesoderm, but vagina is as a dual thing, and that is one of the reasons for formation of the fistula between vagina and the bladder. Okay, the fistula between vesico-vaginal fistulae or uterovesical fistulae, that all happens because this point of contact is there. Okay, so if this division does not happen properly, then there may be a fistula formation between vagina and the bladder, urinary tract and the reproductive tract. Thank you.